Hello aviators, welcome back to the Finer Points. In this video, we are going to go over arriving at a Class Charlie airport and departing from a Class Charlie airport. It's great to see this from a general aviation perspective so that you can brush up before your next flight. And remember, going into a Charlie is the same, really, operationally speaking, as going into a Bravo airport or a TRSA. So in this video, we're kind of reviewing all of those things as we arrive at Class Charlie and depart a Class Charlie. Remember, if you want more information on this, get the app. We go way deeper in the app. There's a link in the description for a free trial. Let's dive in. All right, aviators, the first thing we're going to do when we're going into a Charlie, a Bravo, a TRSA, any airport with radar control as part of the air traffic service, the first thing we're going to do is get to the ATIS, just like any other airport, only usually at these types of airports, it's a digital ATIS. You'll hear what that sounds like here in a moment, but just leave a little extra time to make sure that you can copy all the information. It sounds like this.
Sacramento International Airport ATIS information, Juliet, 1753 Zulu. Wind 330 at 8. Visibility 10. 25,000 scattered. Temperature 8. Dew point -2. Altimeter 3016. Simultaneous visual approaches in use. Landing runways 35 left and right. Departing runways 35 left and right. Notice 2 air missions. Taxiway 5 closed. Metering in effect for San Francisco International Airport, Los Angeles International Airport, Seattle Tacoma International, Lindbergh Field, McCarran International Airport. Use caution for bird activity in the vicinity of the airport. Clearance delivery is on 121.7. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Juliet.
Alright, so you guys can see that takes a little extra time. Make sure that you're dividing your attention so that when you're copying that, you might have to listen to it 2 or 3 times, get what you can. But remember that it's still your job to scan for other aircraft. To make sure that you retain all that data. So I like to write things down if you have a scratch pad that you use and it works, okay. But if you get a little, make sure you write that information down and make sure that you have it available to you. All right, that ATIS tells us that our ultimate clearance delivery for our departure will be 121.7. It also tells us the altimeter is 3016. 246, there it is, 3016, so we'll correct back down to 4,500. The next thing that we're going to do is contact the TRACON facility. This is just like establishing flight following, but the call is very similar to what you might make to a Delta tower. So we're going to, we'll ultimately probably call them over Lincoln Airport, but we'll say NorCal approach, Skyhawk 90924 Victor, over Lincoln Airport with information Juliet, inbound landing. All right, so now that they know we have Juliet, they know we're inbound to land, they'll give us a transponder code which we'll put in, and that will enable them to just hand us off ultimately to the control tower. Remember, we're going into a Charlie airport here, but it's the same for a TRSA, a Charlie, or a Bravo. Okay, those are all the same procedurally. All right, so let's get the NorCal facility that we need. Now you can see these little boxes here. Contact NorCal within 20 nautical miles on 125.4. So let's go ahead and get that frequency ready to go. 125.4. All right, after this frequency, we're going to need the tower.
For me when you can.
It's 1257. Just sort of reviewing what we got here. We've got 1254 is our NorCal frequency. That's the TRACON facility. That's the first. Those are the first people we are going to call when we're inbound to a Charlie, a TRSA, or a Bravo. We already have the digital ATIS, and that initial call, even though we're calling a TRACON, is very similar to any initial call, like at a Delta airport. It's who you are, where you are, including the ATIS, and what you want, all right? The next frequency we're going to need is the tower. So we got a little bit ahead by putting the tower frequency in standby. Now, at some point, after they give us our transponder code and they vector us around, presumably, they're going to tell us to contact tower. We don't have to repeat the whole message to tower because we have this discrete transponder code. We know that tower knows who we are and what we want, presumably, and that we have the ATIS. So that's just called a handoff, and that's, I'll let you know when we get there. So our first call to TRACON here is going to sound like this. Remember, you're supposed to make this call within 20 nautical miles.
NorCal approach, Skyhawk 909er24 Victor, approximately 5 miles northeast of Lincoln, 4,500. Landing Sacramento International with Juliet, VFR.
Remember that to fly into the Class Charlie airspace, you will need an ADS-B out transponder and establish two-way radio communication, which we're doing right now.
90924 Victor, NorCal approach, squawk 0347.
0347, 909er24 Victor. Okay, now we have that discrete transponder code. He knows what we want. He knows we have Juliet. That's it. The next thing we're going to hear at some point is contact tower, and then tower will issue the sequencing and the clearance to land.
9924 Victor, radar contact 4 northeast, 3 miles northeast, Lincoln Airport, up to 3018.
3018, 924 Victor.
24 Victor for traffic, flight heading of 220 vectors for east, left downwind.
Okay, 220 vector for left downwind, 924 Victor. All right, you guys, he's giving us some vectors here. That's sort of what we expect. TRACON may or may not do that on their, as they route you into the Charlie, Bravo, or TRSA airport. Remember that our arrival sequence of the 5A, it says we've got our ATIS, altimeter, 3018. Approach briefing, he's putting us on a left downwind is all he said. Now, they told us on the digital ATIS that they're using runways 35 left and 35 right, so left downwind probably means we're on 35 left, right? Because he wouldn't put us on a downwind splitting the middle of the airport like that. So that's what I'm going to expect with a cautious note that all he said was left downwind.
24 Victor, resume navigation for left downwind, runway 35 left, and connect tower 125.7.
Oh, navigation left downwind, 35 left, calling tower 1257, thanks. 909er24 Victor. Capital Tower, Skyhawk 909er24 Victor, left downwind, runway 35 left, with Juliet.
909er24 Victor, Capital Tower, enter left downwind, runway 35 left. I have traffic that is currently departing 35 left, Boeing 737, they will be flying runway heading.
Traffic in sight, we'll make left downwind, runway 35 left, 909er24 Victor. Setting up our shoulder harness here. Let's run a flow check. 160, 160. Lights are good. Breakers are in. Pressure, temperature, vacuum, and amps are all looking good.
Skyhawk 24 Victor, caution weight turbulence for the departing Boeing 737. Wind 300 at 6. Runway 35 left. Clear to land.
Clear to land. 35 left. 909er24 Victor.
All right, we're focusing on communications in this video. To save a little bit of time here, we're going to jump ahead to after the landing, where you'll make your next communication with ground control.
Cessna 24 Victor, turn right at Alpha 11, same intention.
Turn right at Alpha 11, taxi modern.
Cessna 24 Victor, roger, taxi Alpha Golf 1, monitor ground point 7.
Taxi Alpha Golf 1, ground point 7, 909er24 Victor. Okay, you guys, taxi Alpha Golf 1. One of the things you have to be prepared for here when you're arriving at a Charlie or a TRSA or a Bravo is long taxi instructions. If they say, if they tell you to say intentions back there on the runway and you aren't familiar and you don't know, get clear of the runway, stop, get yourself a piece of paper or a scratch pad, and then tell them you're ready to taxi. We got Alpha to Golf 1, all right? And ground point 7 is what we're monitoring. That's 121.7. We're not meant to call ground control, but we are meant to monitor that in case they need us.
Okay, now you've seen the arrival. Well, let's turn it around and see what it's like to depart from a Class Charlie airport.
All right, aviators, here we are on the ground at Sacramento International. This is a Class Charlie airport, and the operations leaving here will be the same as if you're at a Bravo airport or in a TRSA if you encounter one of those. As always, the very first thing we're going to do is get the ATIS.
Sacramento International Airport ATIS information kilo.
Okay, you guys, we have information kilo. As I said, that's kind of a lot to listen to, so make sure you listen to it as many times as you need to. Make sure you have a writing utensil or a stylus. Make sure you're getting that information and retaining it, okay? The next step here is clearance delivery. Now, they told us that Sacramento clearance is on 121.7, but even if you didn't know that, you could look it up in ForeFlight or another EFB. Now, noticing here, when I look it up in my EFB, it says 121.1. So we're going to use the frequency they gave us on the ATIS. That's going to be the most current, 121.7. And what we need is a VFR clearance. This call is very similar to the initial call at any towered airport except we're going to give them a little more information. We're going to say we're at Modern Aviation with information Kilo, requesting VFR clearance, give them the initial heading and the initial altitude. So VFR clearance heading 350, 3,500 feet is actually what we want. So we want a straight out departure up to 3,500 feet. Once they give us that clearance, we will read it back. They'll give us a departure frequency, and then they'll tell us to contact ground control for taxi. Capital clearance, Skyhawk 909er24 Victor, request VFR clearance.
Skyhawk 909er24 Victor, Capital Ground. Roger, say destination airport for light following.
Ultimately, we'll be going to Nevada County. Initially, we're looking for runway heading, so 350 up to an altitude of 3,500 feet. We're currently at Modern Aviation with Kilo.
And just to provide the correct call sign, it's 90724 Victor.
Negative, sir. 909er24 Victor.
And in the meantime, if you want to taxi, runway 35 left, taxi via Golf 1 Alpha 13. I'll have your instructions momentarily.
Confirm that taxi clearance is for 909er24 Victor, Golf 1 Alpha 13.
Skyhawk 909er24 Victor, affirmative. 35 left via Golf 1 Alpha 13 and stand by for departure instructions.
Okay, roger that. 35 left via Golf 1 Alpha 13, standing by. 909er24 Victor. All right, you guys, this is ground control working the clearance frequency, which is pretty common. Notice there's two parts to this, though. There's our taxi clearance, Golf 1 to Alpha 13. But he's also getting us departure instructions. It's only combined today because they're not very busy. So if you look on your EFB or in the chart supplement, it'll tell you that the clearance delivery frequency for Sacramento International Airport is 121.1. In that case, if the stations weren't combined, you'd call 121.1 to get your clearance.
Skyhawk 24 Victor, on departure. Maintain VFR at or below 2,500 to authorized higher. Departure frequency 1254, squawk 4565.
Okay, VFR at or below 2,500 until advised. Departure 125.4, squawk 4565. 909er24 Victor.
909er24 Victor, read that correct. And I believe you said Kilo, just verify.
That's affirmative, sir. We have Kilo. Okay, so we have 4565. So there's our VFR clearance. Sometimes it's real clean. You know, you call clearance delivery requesting VFR clearance, heading 350, altitude 4,500. They give you that clearance and tell you to contact ground control. But more and more these days, the stations are combined. So you start by going through those protocols, and then, you know, if you hear something, for example, on the ATIS that says that departure would be 121.7 or some other frequency, then you will go ahead and go straight to that frequency. We're going off runway 35 left. We've got like 10,000 feet of runway available. If we don't have our speed by that glide slope antenna there, we're going to power back and abort. Otherwise, we rotate, climb out at 90. If anything happens on the runway, power back and stop. After rotation with runway remaining, power back, pitch forward, land straight ahead. After rotation, no runway remaining, pitch forward, everything in, carb heat on. If there's no response, keep flying the plane, check fuel tank right, fuel tank left. If there's no response, secure the engine by turning the fuel off, mags off, doors open, after flaps are used, master off. Okay, guys, when you're all set to go now, you call the tower. The tower knows you're coming. You've got the discrete transponder code. And tower here at Sacramento International is 1257. Go ahead and get that in there. Capital Tower, Skyhawk 909er24 Victor, ready for takeoff, 35 left, straight out.
Skyhawk 2 Victor, traffic, Embraer, departing the parallel will be southeastbound on departure, maintain straight out, departure runway 35 left, clear for takeoff.
Okay, clear for takeoff on 35 left, straight out, departure at or below 2,500. We'll be looking for the traffic, 909er24 Victor. All right, you guys, let's check our runway heading here. Let's lock in our board. 350. There it is. All right. All right, power set. Engine gauges are checked.
3797, contact.
Airspeed's alive.
Contact departure, skies 3787, see you.
Okay, I definitely missed a few takeoff callouts there. If you know what they are, leave them in the comments. If you don't know, the full list of SOPs is in the app. You can get a free trial. After liftoff, tower will confirm your altitude, and the next communication will be a handoff to departure.
Skyhawk 24 Victor, radar contact, say altitude.
700 climbing 2,500, 924 Victor. They check your altitude when you depart Charlie, Bravo, sometimes TRSA airports. They do that because they're making radar contact. But remember, this is an airport with an active radar capability, so they give you the transponder code when you're on the ground. And then as soon as you leave the ground, they have to establish and verify that radar contact and that the altitude readout is correct. So you can expect that. Okay, there we are, level off.
24 Victor, contact NorCal 125.4.
Roger that, going to NorCal 125.4. Thank you, 924 Victor.
All right, aviators, I hope that was a good review. Remember, we go way deeper in the app. If you haven't seen it, please click the link in the description, get a free trial. Check it out. I know that it will make you a better, safer, more confident pilot. Also, leave us a comment below if there's a video you'd like to see. Remember that I do office hours every Friday live in the app via Zoom. If you want to talk with me, ask me questions, strategize your training, really anything as long as it's related to flying. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that little alert bell so you get notified of uploads, but most importantly, until I see you again, be safe and fly your best.